Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1452. The topic is nutrition, and the title is Balancing Eating Healthy with Social Events. Pretty sure everybody struggles with this. So in a recent journal with one of my clients, we kind of discussed this, gave some pointers, and I thought it might make a good podcast. So with all my clients, nutrition clients and the ones where I do their training in nutrition, and then definitely the deeper level services where we do emotional support around food and business development, we have an online journal where each individual has their own. It's a Google Doc, and they can just write in it at any time, and then I get notifications that they wrote something in, and if it's something, kind of important, I'll get to it as soon as I can, try to get to it that day. If it's our normal conversation, I communicate with them about once a week. So it's try to do it every 5 to 7 days. But I go through and answer questions, anything they want to ask, anything at all. We check in on updates on workouts, on how their mindset is, what they're feeling as they're going through process, the challenges they're facing, questions they have, anything like that. So it makes it very nice. Now, this client, they wrote in about their last weekend. So it said the weekend was a bit chaotic. Saturday, we had family over to celebrate a birthday. And then on Sunday, we spent the whole day working in the yard on some house and landscaping improvements. So my nutrition wasn't on point for the weekend. It's easier to go along with the flow than to hurt feelings because I don't want to eat birthday cake or eat out all day. Food is a big deal on my side of the family, and that can be a real struggle at times. I'm having trouble with the weekends and family and social events. So I clean that up a little bit, get rid of some of the personal stuff, so that way it's a little less obvious as to who it is. But it's something that I think we all kind of feel, is when we have social events like birthdays, or celebrations of some kind, it almost always centers around or is focused around food. And then also, like they mentioned about being super busy all day out in the yard, and that's, very common that people just get busy with errands and they get busy with other projects and things, and they kind of just forget to eat, or they kind of put eating on the back burner. Maybe they grab a small bite here or there, or they're mindful that they should have eaten the entire day, but they didn't. So this is something we all struggle with. So I just wanted to kind of touch on these, give some quick pointers, and hopefully that would help. So for weekends or at times when you feel super busy, one of the things, there's going to be kind of like two helpful things, and then one of me being a jerk. I'll get the jerk one out of the way fast. You just have to make up your mind on what you want in your life. So you can live your life for other people, and that might make you feel good in that part, but then you'll lose all of your personal goals. You can then kind of become resentful for other people, and kind of that woe is me and that martyrdom type behavior and mindset. Don't do any of that, 'cause none of that's going to help you live your best life. It's not going to actually allow you to be your best for other people. You might be able to fake it for a while, but eventually you'll kind of get resentful and you won't actually be giving your best to them either. So one of the things that helps when we shift our mindset is, I'm too busy to eat. No, you're not. You're really not. Now, there's a very old podcast I did. It's podcast number 51. So a long time ago, like 1,400 podcasts ago. But it was a really good podcast, 51. If you want to look for it, if you can't find it that far back in whatever podcast platform you're on, you can Google search Podbean Brutal Iron Gym, and on that website, on the right side of the page, in the middle of the page, there's a search function. We're also updating our website right now that'll have a search function and have the whole database of all the podcasts. That's going to be super exciting. Very excited for that. But podcast 51 was a mindset podcast titled Billy and the Dragon. And the long story short is that the longer we put stuff off, the bigger and bigger it grows. And also our perception of a problem can grow larger and larger the more we sit there and fret and think about it, and worry about it. So when it comes to eating, you can do ridiculously quick things. So I've talked about it in a lot of podcasts, but we do have podcast number 678 is a nutrition podcast titled Quick Meals and Easy Food Prep. So you can eat very quickly. To stop what you're doing and eat, it might take 5 minutes. If that. To pull out like Core Power drinks, you can order on Amazon. You can just pull out a Core Power drink out of a fridge, drink it, and move on. Right there. It takes 30 seconds. You can pull out a can of almonds or cashews, eat those, and be done in 2 or 3 minutes. You can eat a protein bar. You can drink some kind of shake or something like that. You can make a bagel sandwich in 3 minutes. Just toast a bagel, slap some lunch meat in the middle of it, slice of cheese, start eating. There are so many ways to have a meal prepped and eaten in under 5 minutes. So when we decide that we're too busy to eat, the actual truth is we are choosing not to stop what we're doing to take the time to eat. It's not that you're too busy to eat, you're choosing not to eat. It's very important that we recognize the difference between those two. I was too busy to eat kind of feels like it's outside of you. That it wasn't your choice. It's not your responsibility. You just couldn't control it. I was just too busy to eat. When the truth is you chose not to eat. You made the choice. That was a negative choice towards your goal. That was a negative choice towards your health. That wasn't the right choice. You made a bad decision. But you don't want to be responsible for that bad decision, so you blame it on being too busy. But it's not true. The truth is you chose not to eat. That is your choice. That is a mistake that you made. It's important to own that because then you have the choice to change that. So if you screw up, it's a good thing if it's your fault because then you have the power to change it. So don't, give away, don't advocate, release the blame to something else. That makes you feel good in the sense that, I'm glad I don't feel bad because I was just too busy. I just couldn't have eaten. Okay, well, you're still never going to reach your goals. You're still going to be weak, fat, never reach any of your goals, be unhealthy, have diabetes, whatever all your problems are. They're going to still be there. So you might have felt good in that 1 second, in that one decision, but you will not feel good for the entire rest of your life. Because for the rest of your life, you will never reach your goal. By giving away the responsibility and blame to something else, you're buying yourself a few minutes of happiness, but ensuring a lifetime of unhappiness. That's a horrible decision. We do it all the time, but it's a horrible decision. So shift your mindset to realize that for me to stop and eat something, it only takes 5 minutes. I have to prep some things. Yeah, I have to order some things on Amazon to make sure I have the right drinks or foods available. I had to grocery shop to make sure I had the bagels and the lunch meat. Yeah, you got to do a little bit of prep work. But in those moments, you can stop and you can eat something in 5 minutes or less. You have the ability to do that regardless of how busy you think you are. I've worked with over 3,000 people. I have helped people in every damn profession you can possibly think of. And it is a choice. It's your choice to eat. Own the choice. Make the better choice. Yeah, it might be annoying for 3 minutes, but then you get to be closer to your goals and live your best life for the rest of your life. Rather than blaming it on something else and feeling, okay for the bad decision for 3 minutes and then feeling unhappy for the rest of your life because you never met your goals. Okay? So mindset shift. So that's me being a jerk. Got that done with. But Podcast 678, again, will give you a lot of information about how to make quick meals and easy food prep things. And then the other thing to do is to set reminders in your phone, but to do what's called a double reminder. I've been introduced to this by a couple of my clients, where they'll set a reminder, say at 10:30, then they set another one at 10:40, because they know that they're just going to, snooze the 10:30 one or hit stop, then get busy again, and then forget. So they tell me that they do double reminders. I set a reminder at, 10:30, but sometimes I'm super busy, so I just hit stop, and then I kind of forget about it. But when that double reminder, when the second one goes off at 10:40, then I know, oh, crap, I can't ignore it anymore. I got to go take care of this. So they set double reminders. So if you have a busy day, get up, get some food in your face before the day starts. That's a great start. Then set a double reminder for somewhere like 3 to 5 hours later, somewhere in there. And you'll find a way to fit food in if you give a shit. You'll find a way. If you care, you will find a way. You'll get the food in, and then you'll keep moving on about your day. So those are the tips on how to handle weekends or busy days, is to give a crap and recognize that it's only 5 minutes or less. Use quick options, so that way it is 5 minutes or less. And then use double reminders in your phone. Okay? Now, what do we do about food for like social events and things like that? I gave this client 4 tips that I thought would be fun to share. First tip is a common one, is portion control. So eat what's served, but eat slow. Eat slow, eat small portions, push it around your plate. You know, I told her to tell her husband to eat some of it, maybe feed a couple small bites to the dog. But, you know, if you do eat, just try not to eat a lot. You know, people will feel you're included if they see you, you know, eating, if they see you there. That's a great thing. You don't have to worry about offending them, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, God forbid we live our life for ourselves and other people just have to deal with that. But you'll be okay without, you know, offending anybody. But just push it around the plate, eat small portions, you know, that kind of thing. The second tip is to talk a lot. It's a very weird tip. But the more you talk, the less you'll eat because you're talking, right? So talk a lot. Carry the conversation. Make more frequent comments. People will also feel that you're included and engaged, so they'll care less if you eat a lot or not. You know, if their love language is food, that can be lessened if they think you're enjoying yourself in other ways, such as smiling and talking and laughing in the conversation. Typically, if people's love language is food, what they really want is time together. They want to be time together. We share this interaction, so it's quality time. Or maybe act of service. They want to gift you food. So it's it's gifts, it's acts of service, because they want to like make the food for you, save you the time, the stress, the energy. They want quality time. There's all these different like love languages that are blended in whenever somebody says their love language is food. So what they really want to see is just that you're happy. They want to see that you're happy. So talk a lot. If you're talking, you're not eating. And if you're talking, they're going to feel that you're engaged, you're happy, you're excited. And, you know, maybe you didn't eat a lot of the food, but it was the food that brought you all together and had a great moment and a great memory. So they're going to be totally happy with that. The third thing is communicate your goals and tell them the response you want. So you can tell your loved ones what you're working towards, like what your goals are, what you have to adjust in order to reach those goals. And then tell them how you want them to support you. So you can say, I have blah, blah, blah coming up. So for this client, they're doing some long distance runs. So I have some long distance runs coming up. In order to perform well, I have to ensure that I eat enough, but not too much. And I have to eat the right foods to help make sure I get enough protein in, which actually helps me kind of like heal my body and makes me stronger for the run. So the best way I can be supported right now is positive encouragement towards following my specific foods. Now that will sound ridiculous. And whoever, you know, if you don't want to do that, you're going to tell me like, that's ridiculous. That's stupid. There's no way in the world, you know, I'd talk to my family like that. Well, that's stupid. That's stupid that you don't think you could tell your family that you're working towards something and you would love their support in a certain way. Holy hell, that's very unhealthy if you don't feel like you can talk like that. And it might be a good opportunity to kind of introduce that kind of communication to the family. So I did it. I had to tell my parents that, like whenever I would come home from college, and like when I first started getting into nutrition and training and stuff when I was 15. So they experienced it a little bit whenever I was in high school, 15, 16, 17, 18. But when I would come back from college, my mom and dad, being the typical mom and dad, they want to feed you everything. And I would just say like, hey, I'm sorry, I can't eat this. I'm working on a goal right now. And it might have been a diet. Maybe I was trying to, test certain things. Like I did a bunch of diets and weird food experiments all the time, where I would only eat like a certain type of carbohydrate for multiple weeks to try to see how my body would respond to it, or only certain proteins or a certain percentage of ratios and stuff of macros. So I was always doing something weird with food. So I had to tell them, I'm like, I'm sorry, but I can't eat the food that you're preparing for me. I appreciate the love that you want to show to me through this food, but this food is not helpful to me. I want to stay on the foods that I am eating, so that way I can kind of fulfill this goal and really learn this. So I appreciate it very much, and I want to come and sit down and eat dinner with you. I'm just going to eat my food instead of that food. And yeah, I'm sure their feelings were hurt a little bit, at first. And they would, be like, oh, yeah, well, no, this is pretty good. You sure you don't want some? And I'm like, no, I'm good, thank you. So there was a little bit of things like that, but they understood and they supported me very well. They always have. So there might be some follow-up questions. Maybe there's a joke or a little bit of like razzing, here or there. But your family will support you. If they don't, well, then screw them. You have the right to eat whatever you want to eat. If they don't feel loved after you've communicated that this is what's best for you, and then they're putting their needs in front of yours, that's their problem to deal with. You could tell them, I still love you. I'm sorry I'm not going to eat this food, but I still love you. And then if they're upset, that's their problem. That's a very hard place to get to in life when you can just do that. But, man, is it a good place once you're there. Just being able to live your life within obviously a healthy balance of being able to give and take. And, you do want to support your family and you can't be selfish and all about yourself. But if somebody has made you food and that food is going to be detrimental to your goal, you explain that to them and then they still are pissed off or mad that you're not eating the food, that's their problem. That is not your problem to have to solve. They need to deal with that. Okay? So you have to live your life and what you need. Obviously, a little bit of balance with everybody else, but you should not put yourself last all the time. Absolutely not. Right? So the last tip, the fourth tip, is to reduce carbs and fats ahead of or after the event. So if the event is in the evening, pull back on carbs and fats, but maintain your protein during the day to reduce your total calories by reducing the carbs and fats. So that way, if you go into the event, even if you try portion control, but you eat a little bit extra food here or there, maybe the calories by the end of the day won't be so much over what your normal allotment would be. Also, if the event is early in the day, then, you do your portion control, you talk a lot, you communicate about your goals, do all the things we talked about. And then for the rest of the day, just try to hit your proteins, but pull back on carbs and fats so that way you can control the total calories by the end of the day. Cool. So these were some tips about how to handle weekends or kind of like busy days, and then what to do with social events. So hopefully this is helpful. I really appreciate the opportunity to communicate with all my clients and do all the Q&As and journal stuff. I love it. It's just fun for me to learn how to better manage my own life while I'm trying to give advice to others as well. So cool. Okay. Well, if anybody has any questions, if any listeners have any questions or anything, just always reach out. The whole point of the podcast is just to help you live your healthiest and happiest life. So if there's anything you want to know that'll help you do that, please let me know and I'll make you a podcast. Awesome. Well, if you like today's podcast or podcast in general, please consider sharing it. The more people we share the podcast with, the more people it can help, and that's the whole point of it. If you share it on social media, that reaches the most amount of people, but even just sharing a conversation, just please share it. Just if you share it in any way whatsoever, I appreciate it, and I'm hopeful that they'll appreciate it as well. Thank you to the patrons of the podcast, people who financially support the podcast, which you can do through our website. The podcast is well over $1,000 a year for hosting costs. I give an hour to it every day, and want to keep it for free. So I really appreciate the donations to help cover some of those costs, and it really does help. It does make a difference. So thank you very much. If you want to donate, you can do so at our website, www.brutalirongym.com. There's an option for a one-time donation, monthly donation, yearly donation, even just $5 a month, whatever you can give. It does go a long way and it does help. So thank you very much. Also, if you like the information we share in our podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. If you have any questions, feedback, suggestions, anything you want to know, let us know at our email at brutalirongym@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.